Okay, everyone, welcome back. We're going to do our offer management. Very important piece. I mean, that's what we're all here to do, right? We're here to sell REOs. So, offer management becomes very crucial. And number one complaint received in the outsourcer world is mismanaging offers. So, I don't know why this guy's so upset, but he is upset. And unfortunately, guys, this is you, right? That's you. This is taking the blunt of this. All right. So, here's one thing that I don't think a lot of people are aware of this, but buyers will escalate any mismanaged offer to their congressman. Someone feels like they didn't get a fair deal, they're going to escalate it, okay? Congress is going to escalate that complaint to the bank. The bank's going to escalate it to the outsourcer, and the outsourcer is going to come back and say, hey, what the hell? Everybody's going to call and yell at you. Here's some of the most common complaints, guys. My offer wasn't submitted. That's the biggest one. Well, I sent an offer in and you didn't submit it, right? Another one is, this one's my favorite. This is probably the one I see the very most. I offered to pay list price, so the home should be mine, right? I've had people call me, like escalations. I'm the manager, and I get on the phone with somebody, and they say, no, I saw it was listed at $200,000. I called and said I'd pay $200,000. I don't know why you're still marketing the home, right? Like, people don't understand how this process works, and one of the number one complaints is, I offered to pay list price, the house should be mine. They're taking a listing as an actual contract and agreement when it's not. And then this is a really good one. This goes in line with, they didn't submit my offer, but the agent's ignoring me. Now, you may actually be ignoring them because they're a pain in the ass buyer that just doesn't get it. Doesn't matter, guys. You've got to manage these things so that they don't become escalations, because the last thing you want is an angry buyer calling me. And I get it. It's all bullshit, right? I agree with you 100%. All these buyer complaints, they're bullshit, but you still have to respond to them, and you still have to manage them so that they don't come back to me and my team, okay? So, how do we protect ourselves and still represent the client? Well, we're going to do it a couple ways, okay? Number one thing we're going to do is we're going to follow the instructions from the client 100%. And that's what we're going to stick to. That's going to be our guiding light, right? We're going to post clear offer instructions in the MLS and online, and we're also going to have offer tips. I would suggest making videos for your website that walk somebody through how to submit an offer, what constitutes a complete package, response times, anything like that. Anything that you see as being a hot button based on the information that your client is giving you, post those clear instructions in the MLS and then make them available to everybody, because you're going to see a lot of people unrepresented that are coming to you to submit an offer, and they don't know the process, okay? Receive and communicate with buyers and agents via email. I hate that this is where we're at as a society, but it is, right? Like, it used to be that the outsourcers wanted everything in emails because it was just more efficient than trying to have a phone call and then turn around, and now I've got to type up everything that we just talked about. Like, that's just not efficient, and I'm wasting a lot of time. But it really has become a CYA, a cover your ass, because if somebody starts complaining that I never did anything with their offer, I want to have an email chain of when that offer was received, how I responded to them, information I requested from them, and information I shared with the outsourcer, okay? So receive and communicate with buyers and other agents via email. Best thing you can do. So if someone calls and they're talking terms, hey, that's fantastic. Send me an email with your offer and we'll put it together. Or if you can't get that, send them an email after summarizing everything you talked about, right? Hey, Ben, it was great chatting with you about 123 Main Street. Just so you're aware, here's our process. Here's a link to my video on how to submit an offer. Here's the bank's turn times. Whatever it is, receive and communicate via email or through the system, some way that you can document it, right? And if you're getting texts, you want to upload those. I know that if I'm doing texts, I can get them on my Mac as long as it's through an iPhone. You just want to basically protect yourself and have a paper trail for all your activity during an offer, okay? And then you really need to make the asset manager aware of every offer, even if the offer is not complete. And I think a lot of people miss this because they say, well, somebody just called me and said I'm going to offer list price, but I never got anything from them. Hey, that's fantastic. You tell the asset manager. Send them an email, right? Hey, Ben, got an offer from Josh. I haven't seen it yet, but he says he'll pay $100,000. What do you want to do? Now you're off the hook because you've made me aware right? You've made me aware of the offer, and I've chosen to proceed without it, or I've stopped the process waiting for this offer. But either way, you're covered, and you've given the asset manager an opportunity to respond and to manage the portfolio like they're supposed to, right? Like that's their job, is doing offer management too. So everything for an asset manager, they're doing this exact same thing on the other side of the fence, okay? Every time you communicate with them, I have had a few verbal conversations about offers, but for the most part, everything's through email, because I need to document it on my end, because if it escalates, they're just as vulnerable to scrutiny on these. Okay, first look period. If you have not experienced a first look period, you're going to mainly see this with the GSEs, right, like Fannie, Freddie, but you could see it with somebody else who, like a lot of time when someone gets into REO, they just look at the big players and they're like, I don't know, what's Fannie doing? And they're like, here's what Fannie's doing. VA was notorious for turning around and saying, what is HUD doing? Just do what HUD's doing. And we had programs in place that HUD had stopped doing like 10 years before, but because nobody had updated the manual, we were still doing them. This is an actual snapshot from Fannie Mae's first look program, okay? So what we're looking at here is that the first look is typically the first 20 days of a property. In Nevada, it's 30. There is a countdown clock, right? Now, they're not all going to have these countdowns. They're really just going to look and say what was listed on the first. So the first look period expires on the 15th. But during that period, here's the main thing to get during the first look period. You can only submit offers from eligible buyers. And Fannie's given us an example here: owner occupants, public entities, and some nonprofits. But you'll see a lot where they say, hey, we only want to see teachers or first responders or military or whatever category it is during the first 2 weeks. And your job is to know and understand that. So what this means is, investors are going to have to wait until that first look period expires before they can submit an offer. And I mean that. If it comes through, they've got to have an offer date on it that's after the first look period, or else an asset manager should reject that, because otherwise there's no way to prove that we didn't look at that offer before. Now, first look is going to still apply to properties in bad condition that may be cash only, like this little junker here, still may be subject to a first look period. Now, ideally, you would combat that, and if you had a listing and you had this piece of crap, go back and say, hey, look, this house is a $5,000 house. It needs to be bulldozed. Do I really have to follow the first look period? And you can get an exception from the outsourcer to say, this doesn't make any sense. But assume that you're not going to get that, and that by the time you got a response from the outsourcer who had to go to the client to get it, you're probably out of your first look period anyway, okay? All right, so here's my tip. This is my pro tip. I would include the first look dates and definitions in the agent remarks of the MLS, and that's coming from Ben. I've handled hundreds of offer escalations, Barber, okay? Get the information out there, guys. Just get it out there, post it, post your videos, have a document that says here's exactly what the first look is, and just protect yourself, okay? Now, when you list a home in the MLS, you are going to have client-specific remarks. So I pulled this one up. This is in my area, and this is from the VA. Here's the VA. So with the agent remarks, the agent can put in whatever they want, and the VA still has things that you can't say, right? Like they don't want you to go out there and say bank-owned, fast sale, any of that stuff. Like they still want to market it like it's a traditional home. So the agent remarks here are good. Beautiful large home with vaulted ceiling, open floor plan, large master bedroom, new carpet, new paint, large fence yard, very easy to see. Okay, no problem. And then here they've put the agent remarks. Seller's name is Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Now, if somebody were to submit an offer and they said owner of record, the offer would be rejected. It wouldn't be countered to say, here on my addendum 1, owner to be Secretary of Veterans Affairs. The asset manager would reject that contract and say you didn't have it filled out correctly. It should be Secretary of Veterans Affairs for the buyer or for the seller, and then you would have to go get new wet signatures for that. So it is very important that you pay attention to the details. So seller's name is Secretary of Veterans Affairs. Seller does not pay customary closing costs, including title policy, escrow fees, survey, and transfer fees. They really do, but but posting that is basically saying, hey, this is as is. If you want to buy it, you just need to buy it outright. Proof of funds or lender pre-approval letter required. Dated within the last 30 days. Property sold as is. Absolutely. Okay. And then electronic signatures not accepted. That's the big one. And you really want to post that because you need agents to know and hold other agents accountable, right? If someone sends you something that's got e-signatures, nope, I got to reject this. I can't even take your rep C because it doesn't have wet signatures, okay? And that's a legitimate thing. So when we're looking at offers and escalations, somebody who's not paying attention to this and submits an offer and does e-signatures, they go through a dot loop or DocuSign, and then they lose the home and somebody else gets it and they say, well, what the hell? My offer was higher. Right, but you had incorrect signatures, you didn't fix it in time, and you're not going to get it, okay? So, and this is another thing to point out too. They've got a document attached. VA has their own purchase contract. It says no state contract required. We would see a lot of them still come over on the state contract with a copy of the VA Rep C, and that's fine. That's fine. We were told to take both of them, but you want to look for little things like this. Like I know for Fannie, you have to go to HomePath and fill everything out there and then complete their specific Rep C, right, that will be attached. So you want to put all this information, put it in the MLS, because then you can like hold your other peers accountable when they're submitting offers. Here is an example from Fannie Mae, okay? Fannie Mae is saying, show anytime Supra on the front. Sellers directed that all offers on this listing be made using HomePath online system, right? And then it's got some further details. After submitting offer, include your proof of funds, right? Your pre-approval. The buyers, if they're a first-time buyer, have to go through and complete the HomePath Ready Buyer Home Ownership course, which costs them $75. You'll have to attach the certificate to get the closing costs. Like all these different things that are specific to Fannie Mae. And this is exactly how it should look for you. I like this note they put in here. We do not reveal competing agent information, because a lot of people will try to get it. And I was the same way, and I would never do it. Okay. So this is the verbiage, and you want to make sure that you're on par with the expectation of your client. Now, you're going to have client-specific documents, and that's what we just talked about with VA. So here's 3 examples. The first one is a VA, I said. So no state contract required. You can fill out this VA sales contract. It's a 4-page document, or was when I was there. With Caliber, they're saying, hey, here's the documents we have. And then with Fannie, here are, and this is exactly what we were just talking about, here's offer instructions. Here's their questionnaire. Here's how to submit an offer, right? All these different things, and they've put a ton of them, but the big one right there is that Fannie Mae sales addendum and then offer submission instructions, okay? So any documents that they want you to post, you're going to post them there. And then we've got what constitutes a complete offer. Now this is generic, guys, so each client is going to define their complete offer package, but standard is pretty much this: a completed Rep C, but a completed Rep C that's signed correctly. Like in the VA's example, something signed with electronic signatures is not a complete Rep C, so that's why I put complete there. It's not just your purchase contract. It is a complete purchase contract with all signatures completed the way that the outsourcer or the client wants them completed. And then your pre-approval or proof of funds, any seller disclosures they're requiring up front. And then I threw this one in, articles of incorporation, because one thing they're watching is they're making sure that you sneaky guys aren't out there buying your own properties in an LLC or like a trust for that street, like a 123 main trust, right? So if you do have a business that's buying, and there's nothing wrong with a business buying an REO after the first look period if it applies, nothing wrong with that. But if that comes over and it's an LLC or a corporation, you need your articles of incorporation so that they can see the ownership, so they can make sure that you're not buying it, and then also so they can make sure that the former owner's not buying it, right? That's a whole other can of worms, because if a former owner is trying to buy the house, they get a different sales price. They get the whatever's higher, either the current sales price or the balance of their original mortgage plus fees. Okay. All right, now submitting offers. The main thing is just make sure you're submitting them via the appropriate SOR. And remember, SOR is system of record. Now, you may be working with a credit union that doesn't have an SOR, and their submission process is to email the offer. That's great. You're just going to follow those instructions, and that is their SOR. Technically, Microsoft Outlook is their SOR. And then you're just going to follow instructions for submitting the offer. And then like we said with the VA, most people will accept electronic signatures. VA won't. Make sure you understand what your client will and will not accept. Because like with VAs, they will not accept electronic signatures from the buyer, but the asset manager can sign it electronically, but it's not electronic, it's not dot loop, it's a copy and paste of their signature, and then you still have to get wet signatures, right? So just understand whatever the rules are. As funky as they may seem, you need to follow them. Okay, and then this is the offer review process, and it's just tasking and mindset of the asset manager. So I want to take you through and really show you how an asset manager looks at offers and some of the challenges that we run into. Okay, guys, multiple offers. So we've seen what happens when we go through the offer phase and how tedious it can be, and really what we're looking at. Well, on REOs, if it's a low value REO, you're going to get multiple offers. And with the multiple offer becomes more opportunity to get in trouble. So if there is one or more active offer, it's going to trigger the highest and best process, which is commonly referred to as the multiple offer process. And this is it in a nutshell. All buyers who submitted an offer or any offers that are coming in are going to be given a final chance to submit their highest and best. That doesn't mean they're going to change anything. It's just saying, hey, if you'd like to change something, now is the time. An offer deadline is going to be established, and then any new offers that come in will have to adhere to that. So if I go into a highest and best scenario on a Friday and I say, hey, all offers are due by Monday at 11 o'clock a.m., I'm going to modify my MLS comments and say, hey, any offers received need to have highest and best. I would say my exact verbiage would be multiple offers received, highest and best due by 11 a.m. on Monday, whatever the date is. Okay, so you're establishing that deadline for everybody, new offers and existing offers. If your bank has them, you should use highest and best forms. And if not, you need to use the forms from your local MLS that is a multiple offer disclosure saying, hey, we're in a multiple offer situation. Okay, and then any offers received, the final offers are going to be received by the agent, by you, and then submitted to the asset manager, and the asset manager is going to review them, and then they're going to either accept one, counter one, reject all of them, or if the offers are too close, they may go back out and say, hey, we're going to do one more round of highest and best. Now, like I said, you are most vulnerable during the multiple offer process. Okay, and here's why. Escalations are created by potential buyers when they miss the response deadlines, when they say they weren't aware of them, right? Like my agent never told me. Their final offers are not received. And then buyers who submitted their offer before everyone else feel like they're entitled to first consideration, and they're not. So you're going to see that one all the time. And I don't know why we're going to multiple offers. I submitted my offer the day it was listed. And that comes back to, are you documenting everything through email so that you have a way to protect yourself when these crazies come back and try to go after you? Okay? Crazies is probably not the right word, but we're in a protected environment here. Okay, so escalations are created by potential buyers a lot of times because their agent doesn't understand the process and doesn't let them know, or tells them, yeah, everything's fine, don't worry about it, we did a good offer, right? And they didn't change. So that's not on you, it's just things to be aware of. So again, manage the offer process, right? Follow instructions. Sorry. Again, manage the offer process. Just follow the instructions. Make sure everything is posted clearly. Receive and communicate via email, and then make the asset manager aware of every single offer. But here's a problem I get from a lot of frustrated agents. Okay, that's awesome. My $50,000 asset has 40 offers. Hey guys, when you're submitting 40 offers, it's tedious. Like, look, this is a screenshot of an offer I put in for Fannie Mae, right? Now imagine doing this. Well, see, and I wouldn't do it unless I had 40 buyers. But the point I'm trying to make is that when offers are received by you, not every outsourcer has a portal for another agent to submit the information, and most of them are going to come to you. The offer is going to come to you through email. You're going to have to scrub it to make sure it's a complete package. Excuse me. You're going to scrub it to make sure it's a complete package, and then you're going to submit it through the system for the asset manager to review. And this is very standard for all the information that they're asking for. So if you have to do that 40 times, that is just a beating. So ideally, you would have an assistant that you could farm that to. But if you didn't, I mean, you've got to do a lot of stuff. So what we did is we put together this offer summary tool. So what we've done is we put together this offer summary tool, which I'm going to go over with you now. So what we've done to kind of help is put together this offer summary tool. Now, this doesn't mean that every outsourcer is going to take it, but outsourcers are just like, not outsourcers, asset managers are just as frustrated with you when they have 20 to 40 offers that they have to go look through, because it is a beating. So this sheet is actually going to summarize the offers, make sure everybody's included on there, even people who may not have submitted a full package, and give you a little leeway, because now you can say, hey, which one of these do you want me to submit? You want me to do all of them? Which, if they say yes, then you're going to submit all of them. Or they may say, hey, just put those top 5 in there and then upload this document, right? So let's take a look at that. Okay, red flags for asset managers. Now, this is a red flag with the offer itself. Home sale contingency. Just don't even send them over. If you see something that has a home sale contingency, get it out of there, because we don't have time for it. Everything in REO is based on days on market and days in inventory and days in escrow, and we would take a huge financial loss if that home sale contingency failed and they couldn't sell their house. And now we've got to take a huge reduction because we've been on the market too long. Okay, so home sale contingency is a big no-no. An escalation clause. I would fire agents, or I would actually come out and I would say, right or wrong, I would say, I don't want to see another offer from this agent ever again if they included an escalation clause. And I've been in a lot of debates now that I'm a traditional agent with other agents in my market, because I hate escalation clauses. I think it's a totally unfair advantage to people. If I come out and I tell you, hey, here's my offer is $150,000, but I will go $1,000 over the highest offer, not to exceed $160,000. Well, then put an offer in for $160,000 and knock it off, right? Here's the challenge that we had in the REO world. Everybody is worried about these escalations, right? So if you send me an offer and it's got an escalation clause and it says I'll go $1,000 over the highest offer, not to exceed $160K, I have basically told you what all the other offers are. If I come back and I tell you, okay, I'll take your offer, the highest one is 158, so you need to be at 158 at 159, right? I've just told you what every single offer is, and I'm giving you unfair treatment. So now I'm going to get an escalation from the guy that was at 158 saying, what the hell, man? I was the highest offer, and you went back and told this guy if he came up a little more, he could have the home, right? Horrible, horrible scenario to get into. I don't like them. I don't use them in my own business, and I win highest and best. And I have never accepted an escalation clause of the tens of thousands of deals I've looked at. Never. And I would never let my asset managers accept them. And I was an advocate to fire agents that did submit escalation clauses when we were writing policy and procedure. So it's that important to me, because I believe in a fair shake when you're coming at a property. And if somebody can't offer the best, then they can't offer the best. That's fine. And then the other thing is the assigns, right? Be really careful of this. So like, your client is going to sign everything. Your client has the potential to sign everything as an and or assigns, because they may have different businesses that they're now assigning this sale to. But we will not accept an offer from somebody with an and or assigns, because really what they're doing is they're just going to tie the property up and then sell it to somebody wholesale, right? Like if I get in and they've priced it a little too low and they say $50K, you can have this house, and I know I can get an investor at $55. If I buy it, go under contract at $50K, I can sell my contract to somebody and then just assign it over to them. So, and/or assigns is a big no-no when it comes to submitting the offers. Otherwise, everything else is fine, as long as it adheres to the outsourcer's policy. Okay, REO title. With this title, guys, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail because title is a very complicated thing, and we're going to get some experts on to do some follow-up title stuff. But I want to go over just some high-level REO title because there are a lot of frustrations with title. REO is marketable. If you are getting title to an REO property, it is marketable title, and that is just title that's free from any valid claims by outside parties just while the outsourcer has had it, okay? So it's typically transferred by a special warranty deed or a quitclaim deed. Special warranty deed because it's saying, hey, just while I've had the property, yeah, nothing's happened. Not a quitclaim. I mean, not a general warranty that covers it from the beginning of time, okay? Now, where this can really get you into trouble, this marketable title, is you could be under contract with somebody on an FHA deal, and FHA won't take the way that they're transferring title. You may have like a Liz Penance on title or some other kind of cloud that's preventing the transfer of title, or you may have the outsourcer or the bank is getting ready to reconvey title because the foreclosure was done incorrectly and they can't get on title, right? So it's a very complicated, sticky thing. I'm gonna take the whole part out. Okay, helpful tips and tricks. Finance offers above list, one of the worst things. Okay, so guys, there are a lot of times in a multiple offer scenario where agents will try to buy the home by just putting together ridiculous bids, right? So a good example would be, I'm an FHA house, I'm a first-time buyer house, I've done some repairs, and I'm listed at $150,000. And we get multiple offers, and all of a sudden I get somebody come over and they say, hey, I'm FHA, I'll go $180,000 on this house, $30,000 above list, right? And they're just blowing everybody out of the water. There are some asset managers that will take this, and they'll be really excited because they got an offer so high above list it's going to offset some bad offers they've had or some assets they've taken a hit on. And then the appraisal is going to come back, and the appraisal is going to come back at 150, and they're going to have to negotiate back down to 180,000. I mean, they're going to negotiate down from 180 down to 150 and still have to pay the closing costs or whatever they agreed to. They may have given up a cash offer at 160 because they saw $20,000 more to wait, a week or two extra to close, no problem. This FHA offer at 180 was never valid. Right? Someone's just trying to buy the house and they're saying, look, I'll just go high. I know it's not going to appraise. I'll renegotiate it a home when the appraisal comes in, which is exactly what I would do as a buyer, as a buyer's agent. So what we do, what I've always advised, is if somebody comes in with a huge gap like this, I'm offering 180, property's worth 150,000. I say, that's fantastic. You can have the house. Here's what I need you to do. A, there is no appraisal contingency. So we remove that. B, we put verbiage in saying you're offering $30,000 more than list, and you're expected to close regardless of the appraised value, which is why we took out the appraisal contingency. And if I was running into a lot of these, or I had a lot of good offers, and then I've got this one FHA one sticking out there that's got this just ridiculous, I would say, great, you have to demonstrate that you have $30,000 to pay that difference, because I've just said you're offering way over list and you're expected to close regardless. I'm removing your appraisal contingency, so it only makes sense that you would have the cash to pay the difference. If the appraisal comes in at 150, you offered 180, the bank's not going to give you 180, but if you had $30,000 down, they'd finance 150. So I want to see that $30,000 in the buyer's name. And if they can't deliver that, it's not a valid offer to me. I reject it and I go to the next one. And if the next one's in that same scenario, I ask this for the same information. I just keep doing that until I flush out the best offer. Okay? So if you see an offer that comes in and they're a ridiculous amount above list, and it's I don't want to say it's not weak financing, but it's lower financing, right? Like lower down payment, like FHA or some kind of housing program or grant program or something like that. Even VA, where it's 100% financing. If something comes over and they're offering a ridiculous amount over list, just verify funds. Verify that they have the cash to pay the difference between the two, okay? And then another one is you've got to set expectations right out of the gate for the buyers and the buyer's agents. And that's what we're doing by posting the information online, is we're saying, hey, just so you know, here's the process. Here's what a complete package is. Here's the bank's response time. Like, the more information that you can get out and manage that expectation, the better. So like for me, on the traditional side, whenever I submit an offer on a short sale or an REO home, I don't include an offer response deadline because I know that they're not going to make it. Like, I can't strong arm the bank and say, hey, this offer is only good for 48 hours. If the asset manager doesn't get to it, they don't get to it. And it's unfortunate, but it's the way that it works. So you've got to set that expectation. And if it's a good offer, there's nothing wrong with telling them, hey, I've presented it to the asset manager. I've emailed them. Through the email, they said it looks good. They haven't officially selected it. And that's what you want to do. Protect yourself by watching your verbiage, right? Like, the one thing I hate is when people say, yeah, I talked to him, we got it worked out, the house is yours. Well, until you have signatures, nothing is final, right? So watch your verbiage, create the right expectations for buyers and buyers agents up front, and then protect yourself from escalations by doing everything we talked about. Getting things in writing, posting great descriptions of what's acceptable and what's not, and just communicating every single offer over. Okay? So, I don't have that video. And then the very last thing I want to leave you with, guys, and this seems like it should be common sense, but it's not. Don't buy your own assets. Okay? You have just priced this home, and if you even hint at it and say, hey, I could buy that, well, now I'm going to question every valuation you've ever done, right? And I've had asset agents that I ran into where we found it on the articles of incorporation that they were part owner, and then we go back and look at some other homes that they've sold, and sure enough, they bought 3 or 4 homes under the radar, very sneaky, because the asset manager didn't do their due diligence on the paperwork, and then we fired them, and they got no more assets. And if you leverage this REO, right, guys, it pays dividends hand over fist. So don't jeopardize it. Don't buy your own assets. Now, if it gets to 90 days on market, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, it's 90 days on market. We have a program. I'd be happy to take it at appraised value and get a third-party appraiser in. And we can talk about those offline because it doesn't come up enough. But I'm just saying, just common sense. Don't buy your own asset. Don't present an offer for your dad on an asset that you're managing, right? Okay, so same thing here, guys. Questions. I would love to keep this discussion going. So anything you've got, hit me up on Facebook. Send me an email. Let's keep talking about this because I really want you to do the best that you can with offers. I want you to, A, protect yourself, but B, I want you to sell these things quickly for the highest amount. I want you to negotiate good terms and avoid some pitfalls that I've seen a lot of agents walk into. Okay, so let's keep the dialogue going so that you can get out there and sell more assets and have the good life. All right, appreciate your time and attention. I'll see you on the next module.